Yeah, 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 yeah. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, if anybody thought I was doing a video late on Friday night, no sir, Barbarino. Nope. It was like, let's get this done early. So hopefully y'all get the notification and you jump in. If not, you can rewatch later. Either way, we have your mom hostage. Hit the like button and subscribe and tell other people, tell a friend that it's them again. Ladies and gentlemen, day 14 of 100 days. It's 14. We got a ways to go, but I'm enjoying the trip. All right, a couple of verses just so you know. We're going to get a lot of verses today. I'm going to give y'all a lot of verses because we're going to talk about something crazy, all right? We're talking about nuclear war today, but let me give you a couple verses just to help you process what I do in this, right? So this is what I do. Matthew 16:3. You know how to interpret the appearance of the sky, but you cannot interpret the signs of the times. So what I try to do is interpret the signs of the time. What is going on right now? All right. Also, Ephesians 5:11. Take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness, but instead expose them. So I'm trying to interpret the sign of the times and expose the deeds of darkness, and that's everywhere. So this is day 14 of 100 days. Welcome to CNN. I am your host, Kirk Kennedy. Let's go in. I'm going to say something that may shock some of you. You may think that I don't really believe this, but this is true. Donald Trump is right. Donald Trump is right. Now, the reason why that may shock some of you, because I'm not a Trump fan, but it's not because I'm woke and on the left, because I'm not a Joe Biden fan. I'm not a left fan or a right fan. Although I did like this song, set it up on the left, y'all, set it up on the right, y'all, set it on. So that's left and right. So I'm bipartisan because I like that song. All right, Donald Trump, though, is right, and I don't mean his political side of the party. He's right about something that he just said, which we're going to watch in just a second. Now, I watch everything. I watch Fox News. I watch Ben Shapiro. I watch Candace Owens. I watch Valuetainment, Pat Bev and them. Their podcast is probably one of my favorites, conservatives. I watch Glenn Lowery and John McWhorter and Coleman Hughes. I watch everyone. I watch on the left. I watch the Young Turks. I like The Hill. I like Breonna Joy Gray. I watch everything just so I can see what everyone's saying because you can't trust anyone. Everyone is spinning like they DJing. Everybody's a DJ just spinning records, right? So I watch everything. So I was watching an interview with Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump the other day. And Donald Trump is right about something that he said. And let's watch this just so you can see what I'm saying. This is not a game. This is true. Donald Trump is 100% accurate here. Here's what he said on Tucker Carlson. You know me, I'm low budget with it.
You said at the time when you were president that going to war with Russia, either hot war or cold war, would drive Russia into an alliance with China.
I did.
That would displace us as the most powerful nation.
I did. But we have a bigger problem. The bigger problem is the weaponry. The weaponry today is so powerful. This isn't like Second World War where we have army tanks running around shooting each other. This is weapons the likes of which the world has never seen before. And they have them and we have them. And China has them less, but within 5 years, China will have equal to us. China, I'm talking about nuclear. China has the beginnings of a very big, very powerful nuclear. They're short 5 years. They had started much later. Russia and us are comparable. Massive power, massive. And that's one of the things.
More than people understand?
More than people understand, yeah. Yeah, more.
Were
and
you
they don't
surprised?
understand the power. If you look at Hiroshima, as some people
Yep.
call it, if you look at Nagasaki, you look at those two events took place many, many years ago. I multiply that power times 500. That's what you're talking about. Where it actually melted the granite. You know, granite is unmeltable by blowtorches.
Yes.
But the granite, if you look at granite areas, it's like water that got, hardened, like an ice skating rink. It melted the granite. If you look at that and multiply it times 500, that's what you're talking about. when I listen to people talking about global warming, that the ocean will rise in the next 300 years by 1/8 of an inch, and they talk about this is our problem. Our big problem is nuclear warming, right? Nobody even talks about it. The environmentalists talk about all this nonsense in many cases. Look, I'm an environmentalist also, I guess, in my own way, because I've done a good job with the environment, but nobody talks about nuclear. The problem we have, the biggest problem we have in the whole world, it's not global warming, it's nuclear warming. And all it takes is one madman, and you're going to have a problem the likes of which the world has never seen. And it's only a matter of seconds. You don't have to wait 200 to 300 years for it to happen.
So what you're saying is demonstrably true. Why is this not something our leaders talk about or the press talks about?
Because I don't think they're smart. I don't think they get it. Putin got it. I would talk to him about it all the time. I never mentioned the word nuclear. You never heard me mention the word. You know, my uncle was a professor, a great professor at MIT for a long time.
All right. And again, Trump goes on to pretty much talk about the reality of nuclear war. Donald Trump is right. Nuclear war is the war to end all wars, right? It is the war to end all. It is the most powerful weaponry in the world. Russia and the U.S. have the biggest stock of them. If Donald Trump is accurate, then China in 5 years. But it doesn't matter if they have 50 of them. It just takes one. It takes one, right? Nuclear war is the war to end all wars. I thought it was interesting that he was talking about that on Tucker Carlson. And I was thinking as I was watching it, you know, the left and the right, they're different. They're the same in terms of their motivations for greed and money, but they are different in their emphasis, how they get there. And I thought it was interesting that he's talking about this on Tucker Carlson because the right, the conservatives, they're really strong about gun rights and gun laws, right? Every time a mass shooting happens, everyone's blaming conservatives for not changing laws to stop this from happening, as if that's all it would take. Like it's more complicated than that, but I understand the sentiment, right? But conservatives, they're drawn to war language because conservatives care about like, well, they love like guns. Like, let's just be clear. And if you're a gun owner, you can disagree with this, that's fine. But there's no one that really needs to own an assault rifle. Like, you really don't need an AR-15. Like, the average American does not really need an AR-15, an SK, you know, a Russian Kalashnikov, right? You don't need an assault rifle for real, right? But conservatives love that stuff. They love that military, that war, that sense of, you know, being able to destroy through guns and bullets. That's why it's hard for them to let go of that, right? So when you start talking about war, you get the conservatives fired up. They're ready. On the left, they don't care about war in the same way. Their wars are more ideological. So their wars are trying to take you captive in how you think and force you to agree with things that you don't, like sexuality and that it has an open-ended spectrum and all these different things, right? So they fight different wars. They're not worried about, that's why the left is always talking about get rid of guns and fight against guns. And the conservatives, we're keeping our guns. So for Donald Trump to go on Tucker Carlson and talk about nuclear war, that's perfect for his fan base because the conservatives are going to eat that up because it's war and they like that kind of, that war. But I'm going to tell you something. We're going to talk about the truth about nuclear war. There is something about nuclear war that Donald Trump is not saying. And I think he's actually using it as a ploy. And everyone, when they talk about it, there's a truth about nuclear war that no one is being honest about. So we're going to be honest about it because this is Kurt Kennedy's corner, right? Here's the truth about nuclear war that Donald Trump is not saying. What he just said was, and his impression he's giving you, all it takes is one madman to press a button, right? And that's true. That is true. But here's the truth about nuclear war that no one is actually saying, right? China and Russia do not want to destroy the world. They want to run it. Like, they don't want to destroy the world. You have to understand what nuclear war is. The only way a nuclear war would really happen as if, and this is why there's a lot of cyber war, right? Hacking and attacks. And I mean, China has a whole branch. I think China has, because there's so many people, there's 1 billion people, they have a branch of their military that focuses on cyber attacks and hacking, particularly the US. Their branch, that branch of their military is bigger than I think 2 or 3 of our armed forces combined. Just that branch of their military devoted to hacking and nuclear war, right? So the only way that's really going to happen is if China can guarantee that they shut down our infrastructure. If you can put a digital EMP into America's infrastructure where we lose access to our technological capabilities, our electricity, if you can hack the grid and do that, or potentially launch nukes, take control of ours and launch them on ourselves, that's it. But if China presses that button, then the US is going to press that button. And then Russia's going to press that button. And everyone, you know what's going to be? The end of the world. Nuclear war, Donald Trump was right when he said, this is a different war. This isn't driving in with tanks and going in and shooting people. This is a bomb that will blow up everything. And for 10,000, the radiation nuclear war is like the flood in Genesis 6, but it's just fire and radiation. It would destroy everything. China does not want to destroy the world. They want to destroy the US, and they want to run the world. Now, let me tell you why I think that nuclear war, while it is possible, and the only thing I can see, let me tell you what could happen. So North Korea is a flunky regime of a country. I could see China baiting North Korea to launch a nuke to see what happens, and maybe hit something in the US and cause some damage that would weaken us. And then we hit North Korea and blow them up. And then China's not going to care about that. They're persuasive. This is a different video we're going to talk about. China is on the move. I can see that happening. But for the most part, if you blow up the world, there's nothing left. Nothing left. China doesn't want to destroy the world. Neither does Russia. They just want to topple the US's influence in the world. So if they could find a way to stop us, they would do that. But they don't want to blow the world up. They know we have too many nukes. You fire 1 at the US, we're firing 10 at you. It's over. It's over. It's it. Once they land, that's a wrap. Wherever they land for miles and miles, it's done. So that's one. Let me tell you the other reason why I think nuclear war on one level, while it's true and it's possible, why it's actually a hustle. Let me tell you why. We'll read a verse with you. Luke 4. This is what happens. Luke 4. And the devil took him up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. Right? And so this is Satan tempting Jesus. And said to him, to you I will give all this authority and their glory, for it has been delivered to me, and I give them to whom I will. If you then will worship me, it will all be yours. All right? Now you may be thinking, what you talking about, Pastor Kurt? How does that connect to nuclear war? The reason why China doesn't want to destroy the world is because they are, if you're not a Christian, I'm sorry this offends you, but it's just true from what I believe. If you're not a Christian, Scripture is clear that you have been taken captive to do the devil's will. That's not even, here's what 2 Timothy 2:24 and 26 say. And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but kind to everyone, able to teach, patiently enduring evil, and they may come to their senses, talking about unbelievers, and escape from the snare of the devil after being captured by him to do his will. This is what God's word says. I believe, I'm a Christian. I'm of the Christian tradition. I believe the Bible is true. I believe God's intentional. And God is telling us that people have been taken captive by the devil to do his will. So that means the China regime, Russia, all them people that don't submit to Christ, they belong to the devil. Do you honestly think the devil wants to destroy his kingdom? This is the devil's kingdom, right? I know it's God's in and of itself, but even Jesus called him the ruler of this world. Satan said, look, and the devil took him up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time. So he had the ability to tempt Jesus to show him all the kingdoms of the world, including today's kingdoms, in a moment of time. This is the devil's domain. People think that the devil wants mass destruction. No, the devil just wants disobedience to Yahweh, to God, to Jesus. If you are a moral person, why do you think every religion is moral, right? There's moralism. He doesn't care about moralism. He just doesn't want it to be moralism motivated by the Messiah. So the devil does not want to destroy this world. He could have already influenced these people to do it a long time ago. The devil wants to rule this world, and he wants to control and stop the church. He doesn't, if nuclear war happens, and let's just say 7/8 of the world is blown up, and now we're on some Book of Eli, right? Dystopian future type times. If that happens, the devil loses the vast majority, because for him, the actual land, the earth, is only a component. Without people, then he loses a lot of his authority. If anyone thinks the devil wants to destroy, okay, yeah, you might send a lot of people to hell, but then you're going to usher in, it's going to be your end. If you do that, you best believe, if God even allows that, number one, if the Lord even allows that to happen, right? The Lord will, this is, oh man, we're getting busy right now. If the Lord even allows that to happen, then the devil loses the majority of his ability to rule the world, because he's working through people. Listen to 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. If there's a nuclear war and the majority of people get killed, who's the devil going to seek to devour? The 100,000 people who are left? We got to think about this. Like when you hear these things, right? I'm not saying that it's not capable, and I'm not the Lord. I could be totally wrong, but I believe that I think it's a hustle to talk about nuclear war. So when he brings it up, Donald Trump, he's trying to get his fan base. He's trying to get his base, because they're going to be like, oh, nuclear war, we got to stop this. We need someone there who's going to press the button before they press the button. And Joe Biden is not going to do that. And I agree with that. Joe Biden's mind is so gone, he might not know which button it is anyway, right? That's a hustle though, because we have to think we do not wrestle with flesh and blood, right? So the issue is not China, or as Trump would say, China. That's not the issue. Russia is not the issue. That's flesh and blood. Does Satan want to destroy the world because he controls these people? He does not want to destroy all the human beings on this earth, because then his fun is over. His torment is over. Yeah, a bunch of people will go to hell because they won't have belief, but those people, most of them will probably go to hell anyway because they don't believe anyway, right? So again, when we're thinking about nuclear war, we have to put things in perspective and think about this biblically. One, that cannot happen unless the Lord allows it. If the Lord allows it, if he allows all these nukes to get fired at different countries, one of three things that means one of three things. That means it's a wrap. Jesus is getting ready to come back and it's a wrap, right? Two, he intends to destroy them joints in the sky and do something crazy. Or three, there's a much deeper plan for a smaller percentage of people on the earth, because many people are going to die. The vast majority are going to die. Again, the only way I think you can get a nuclear war off from China and Russia is on us, if they can stop us from firing nukes back. There's no way. We got too many. We got submarines everywhere. They have to shut down the ability for everything, because China knows the minute they fire one nuke, we're going to fire 50 at them. So you telling me that they're willing to go to nuclear war and destroy everything? No. They just have those weapons because everyone wants to have the biggest gun. They do not want to destroy the world. Listen to John 12. This is what Jesus said right the night he was about to be crucified, right a couple hours before his crucifixion. He said, now is the judgment of this world. Now will the ruler of this world be cast out, right? The ruler of this world will be cast out. Satan is the ruler of this world. I think it's illogical to think about who he is, how he manipulates people, and how he loves the authority that him and demons and other principalities have over people, to say, let's wipe out all the people then through nuclear war. No, sir. No, sir. This as a justification for voting any politician in is a hustle. It's a hustle. Best believe nuclear weapons are man-made, but the decision to use them is not. We've had nuclear weapons for a long time. And after Hiroshima, as he said in the video, people were like, "Whoa, look at the power of the atom bomb. That's nothing compared to what a nuke could do." You're talking 10,000 years of. Now, obviously, God can fix anything, but just in human, it'd be 10,000 years for anyone for all the radiation and everything to clear out of whatever area that hits. Nothing could inhabit that area for 10,000 years. So you're telling me that Satan, the ruler of this world, no, the weapons are man-made, but the decision to use them is not. Satan has to influence people to do it, and God has to say, yeah, go ahead and do it. Let's go ahead and destroy the world. Now, I could be wrong, but my interpretation of Revelation is that's not how it happens. I know Revelation is very symbolic, and it's a picture book, not a puzzle book. People turn Revelations to a puzzle book. Revelations is a picture book. God is describing using very graphic, apocalyptic, pictorial imagery that he wins, essentially, right? But I think it's dumb to be like, oh, Gog and Magog, that's Russia and China, and here's the U.S. Maybe. But if you were alive when Hitler was alive, I bet if you were alive when Hitler was alive, taking over the world and persecuting the Jews, I bet you every church was like, this is it, the mark of the beast. This is it. The swastika is the mark of the beast. The Satan is Hitler's the Antichrist. I bet you. There's no way you wouldn't have thought that. I bet you if we went back and heard sermons back then, people were in Revelations tough, right? We don't know if that stuff is really, who cares? It's a picture book, not a puzzle book. But in Revelation, you don't get the sense that the devil destroys the world or that God allows that. You get the sense of the enormity of people. People end up coming together and rivaling the people who believe in Jesus. They war with the beast against the Christ, right? They war against the church and God's people, all of that. You don't get the sense that the world gets destroyed. So, again, we do not wrestle with flesh and blood, but against the rulers, authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness. These are spiritual entities. So in other words, nuclear war would only happen if God allows it and if Satan influences people to do it. And I'm telling you, humanity is Satan's, that's his playground. Why would you destroy multiple billions of people and limit your and other demons? Because they don't get destroyed by nuclear war. They're supernatural beings. They don't get destroyed by that. So you're going to get rid of all of the things that you use. I just don't think so. So again, can it happen? Sure. Can nuclear war happen? Sure. I believe, and I'm not the Lord, and that's clear, right? I believe it's a hustle to talk about it. And it's a hustle to be really afraid of it. Because lastly, if you're a believer, and let's say that does happen, and God forbid, who wants that to happen? But let's just say that does happen. We're going home. You're going home. Like, yeah, I won't be able to, hopefully if that did happen, and I'm sitting there with my family, and I can just hug my boy and just wait till it hits, and then we just go home. But you're going home. You're going home. No more struggle. No more faith. When you die, you don't need faith anymore. It's all sight. Whether you believed in Jesus or not, faith dies when we die. Once you die, it's all sight. You're either going to see hell and the enemy, or you're going to see Jesus and forgiveness and mercy. It's it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. But what do I know? I don't know anything. I don't work for NASA or anything. I just need a tooth. These people know. They're worried about it. No, what they're worried about, they're not really worried about nuclear war. They're worried about China trying to stop and Russia coming together to stop. The real war is taking the power of the U.S. dollar out of the world economy. That's the real war. The real war is trying to build that $500 million underwater cable that will give you access to control 98% of international internet activity. And so you can do a lot of espionage, a lot of that. The real war is trying to dismantle the U.S. You're not trying to end the world. You press a nuke, you drop a nuke, it's a wrap, it's over. Every country that has them is going to be afraid and they're just going to launch. And then it's like, boom, everything's done. I don't see it. But what do I know? I don't know. I got to finish the message. Like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all. Truth about nuclear war. I don't see it. I think Satan wants to continue to rule this world with as many people on it as possible because that gives him a lot of jurisdiction. You take all them people out, his kingdom gets a lot smaller, and you can't even live on this earth if that happens. It becomes people would probably kill themselves because it would be so destitute, you know. But what do I know? All right, I'm out of here. Grace and peace. Appreciate y'all. Tomorrow, day 15. Let's keep the party going. See you when I see you.